Welcome to Measuring Success Right, the official student-led podcast of the Marriott Student Review, where we connect the leaders of tomorrow with the issues of today.
Do you ever see the phrase protect and serve on passing police cars? Today, Professor Sean Bair adds some insight on what those qualities mean to him. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Ellie Lewis, and I'm joined today by Professor Sean Bair. Professor Bair has been an adjunct professor at BYU, teaching strategy and economics at the moment, but he's also the founder and CEO of Sworn AI and some other AI entrepreneurship companies before that. And let's see, you got your BS from Arizona State and MBA from University of Denver, but you started your career as a police officer.
Yes.
So tell me about how starting from being a police officer and a crime analyst brought you to eventually becoming an entrepreneur.
It all goes back to what my core beliefs are and my passion and purpose in life, and that is serving others and protecting others. So I'd always had as a tenet of my being and what I do, trying to contribute to the world, this notion of I want to protect people and I want to serve people. Mm-hmm. So to go into public safety as a natural, path, they put it on the patrol cars, right? Protect and serve. I was looking at serve more from a helping type of perspective mm-hmm. versus a public safety perspective. But that was really why I got into that. And then, of course, my sense of justice. I like to make sure that people aren't wronged, that rights are corrected, and that justice is done. So a big part of my principles and values do relate back to that aspect of justice.
Was there a moment where you jumped ship kind of from crime and public service to being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it wasn't by design. It was more by evolution. So what had happened was I was working as what's called a crime analyst. So my job was to analyze crime in the police department. Okay. And so I was tasked with trying to predict where and when criminals were going to commit their crimes, as well as where crime generally was going to happen. Okay. And we use sophisticated software for that and stuff that, we use here at BYU, Excel and SPSS or SAS or, Tableau. There's those kind of platforms. Spatial analysis too. So like ArcGIS or mapping software. And at that time, I didn't find as a crime analyst, there was a lot of good software to, in fact, be really efficient and effective at that effort. So being a coder by sort of trade, I started off when I was 12 years old, starting to code back in 1982 or 3. Yeah, a long time ago. And I'd always used technology, or at least the computer, to, believe it or not, try and get out of work. So through high school, through college, and then beyond, I was always looking for ways to get the computer to either code something or make something more efficient and effective for me. Yeah. So I was able to have more free time. And what I found myself doing is just that. So at the police department, I thought, there's a better way here. We could be doing this. So what I ended up doing was writing a piece of software that I thought would automate what I was manually doing. And it began to start allowing us to be more successful at finding patterns and predicting where somebody was going to strike next. And of course, if you can predict where they're going to strike next, then you remove a victim from being victimized. So that software began to take notice by different agencies. They were like, how are you guys finding so many patterns and what's going on? And you're always asking us, are there any of these types of crimes in our jurisdiction? How are you identifying these patterns? And the other analysts and investigators would say, well, Bair wrote some piece of software. You should talk to him. And so, like I say, by evolution, it was they would contact me and say, hey, can I have that? I want to do this too. And I thought, there's a little inkling of a business sense in me. Maybe I will sell it. So that was the impetus of that. And it took off. A lot of departments used it to predict things. And then the Defense Department took notice and they used it to predict things. Huh. And then Walmart and Macy's and other corporate sort of entities used it as well, all to predict time, space, and behavior.
Very cool.
And so that's what got me started into that.
Yeah.
So as an officer, so I should say that was as a crime analyst, I was starting this company. And then I realized that I actually needed more acumen. So I thought I understood data and I understood sort of crime series and patterns and things. But I thought as an officer, this will allow me to meet my principles more. So I could actually directly impact somebody's life by being out and engaging with them. And I thought I would also learn a lot more about human behavior and crime and disorder. So I thought I should be an officer and that I can have more dramatic impact. Yep. So I became an officer as well at that time. So that's what kind of got me into that. And It's sort of the inverse of what a lot of people do. A lot of people go from being an officer, they either retire or they get injured or something, and then they become an analyst. I did it the wrong way. So I did analyst and officer.
So your career weirdness came from the will to help people and laziness, ultimately.
Basically, an element of laziness. I think you could sum up my whole life by that, right?
That's awesome.
It's just trying to find ways to be more effective and efficient in what I do. And to this day, I'm still like that. Mm-hmm. And that is, I think, just the core of any entrepreneur, is just an awareness of what things bug them and them applying their irritation to that and trying to fix the problem. Yeah. That is really at the heart of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And there we go.
Yeah.
So how does this like entrepreneurship mindset that you've been talking about and your career in the public service, how does that inform how you teach at BYU?
So the best thing that I can offer students as an adjunct is I don't have a PhD, so I don't want to stand up there and pontificate about all the different theories and principles and stuff that they know far more than I do. The one thing that I can bring to the table and I try and offer up to the students is the life experience. So I was in their shoes and I can talk about the different places I've worked and things I've done, whether it's working for government, selling to Walmart, working in the Defense Department, trying to grow a company, managing people, all of the things that are within the context of business, I've had some opportunity to do in my life. And so I feel like it's not so much I feel like I need to share that because I know and they need to know. It's more about, for me, I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot of lessons, and I would love to have somebody not have to experience those like I did. So a lot of it is coming at it as more of a, hey, here was a path I took. There was a lot of stones. Some of them were slippery. I'm going to point that out to you so you don't have to slip on that.
So it's like the here's what I wish I knew kind of approach.
Exactly right. Yes. And then also giving them a perspective that I don't think not everybody could offer. So one of I think the unique perspectives that I bring is that I'm not a member that was born into the church. Mm-hmm. I joined 11 years ago. And so I think there's things that I can share spiritually as well as how my faith ties to business pre and post baptism that might be interesting to them.
Yeah. So about the pre and post baptism, were there differences in how you approached business?
Oh, hugely.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd never called on Heavenly Father to help me with a problem before in business. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally was able to feel the Spirit and understand that I have Heavenly Father right there along with me at every step, it was a game changer. Mm-hmm. So now not every decision is me mulling over it and stressing about it or worrying how could I come up with this, this answer. It was, I have a friend, I have somebody I can turn to, I can speak to Heavenly Father, and I might receive guidance now, maybe in the future, maybe never, but at least I feel like I've been heard and that I could be guided in the direction that He would like me to be guided.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Or go. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Good to hear.
Yeah.
So to bring it back to like the businesses that you've started, I believe 4
businesses? So I had started, the original one that we were speaking about earlier was called Bair Analytics. And that was predictive analytics software for public safety, defense, private sector. And that got acquired by a company called LexisNexis. I then had an effort into a company called Zoohoo, which people know it as Nuri, who know it at all. And that got acquired last year, actually.
Very cool.
So that was all about, and it's kind of interesting going back to the principles of service and protection. The Bair Analytics was clearly protection, and the service was, I was trying to, again, I was troubled by something that I was going through, and it was home teaching. Being a brand spanking new member, I was thrust into home teaching. I didn't know anything about what I was supposed to do, and me and my son were supposed to go home teach. And so I was winging it, basically. And the thing that bugged me most was I was not good at being Christ-like and knowing the family like I wanted to know the family. Yeah. And so I was forgetting names. I was not able to remember the dog's name or the parrot's name or when Johnny was coming home from his mission or even where it was. And that irritated me. And I tried to use my Apple, my notes and other things, and it just didn't work. And sort of inspiration was, well, I know about CRMs, which allow business people to keep track of all their customers and their clients. And what I really need is a personal CRM, something that'll keep track of all of my my network, as well as my business contacts, as well as my ward members and my hockey teammates, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So that was the impetus of Nuri, was having a piece of software that would help me be a better person, basically. Yeah, and so I exited that last year, and then I had a stint for about 2 years being the CEO of a company called GameSafe. And that purpose was to look at Fortnite, Minecraft, and Roblox and be able to alert the parent when there was something nefarious going on in the game.
Yeah.
Because the number one way that kids get approached nowadays is actually through those 3 games.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to make some difference there. And then my newest endeavor, Sworn, is back at it, public safety. We're trying to use biometric devices and agency data and other data to help officers be more healthy, happy, and well, because they have a very tough time at it.
Yeah, it's a little bit full circle.
Yes.
Starting a public service and ending there.
Exactly. And back to what I think I have my strongest acumen in, truthfully.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you began. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when thinking about your whole career, your current adjunct professorship, your CEO of Sworn, all these different things that you're doing, how does that connect to the idea of integrity? Because that's one of the Marriott student values is integrity. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and of the 4, that's the one that I think I associate or assimilate with the most, given that integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's watching, right? And so that is a big thing that we always would instill in officers, and they would instill in us as new officers, to the point where you're trusted with life and liberty, and you need to have the highest level of integrity in order to be able to not breach that trust. So one of the examples they always give officers from an integrity perspective is if you were to find something in the back of your patrol car that maybe was left by a previous suspect, let's say it's a crack pipe or it's money or whatever, you properly impounding that and doing the right thing. So you're doing things that are expected of you regardless of whether anybody's around. And I've always had a real intense sort of association with integrity and making sure that I'm doing what is best for everybody when nobody's watching. And sort of course, the beauty of all of this is somebody was always watching. I was just unaware of it. I would think I was doing the right thing with nobody watching, but now I know that I get to do the right thing with the blessings and with the eye of Heavenly Father looking at what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So it actually has even a more impactful sort of outcome in that when I do things, even though nobody's looking, I'm doing them to please my Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful perspective to take, is that
Thank you.
It's not doing something good with nobody. It's doing something good with somebody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. I love that. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well put. So when thinking about, again, your whole career and maybe even future careers, different companies that you might go into, different companies that you might sell, how do you define success? What does it mean to be successful to you?
I might have thought in college that it was the paycheck. Mm-hmm. And I learned pretty quick that wasn't it. And I learned early on that, again, as a crime analyst, I was making as a salary $32,500 a year. That is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And married to a teacher who unfortunately was making even less than I was making. But it wasn't about that. It was about the fact that, am I adhering to my core principles, my values, my purpose and mission in life? And I knew the money would always come. So for me, measuring success was always, am I holding true to the things that make me me and that Heavenly Father has blessed me with, that I should use my time and talents to put into effect? And so for me, I was blessed with an ability to use computers to get out of work or, to make things happen. And I think I was also very blessed with a creative way of coming up with solutions. I'll just say that. And so I've continued to try and bring that to the table. I am not blessed with amazing presentation skills or unbelievable math skills or certain things, and that's okay. And I am trying to build those capabilities, but I'm holding true to what I know I was gifted with. And I'm trying every day to make sure that I'm being respectful of those gifts and magnifying them.
Yeah, it's like the parable of the talents. You're doubling your talents.
Trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that your idea of success has to do with loyalty to who you are and what God blessed you with.
Yeah.
And you mentioned again that you were a convert 11 years ago. Was there a shift in how you identified success when you got baptized or when you were converted?
That's an interesting question. Was there I would say no, it just had that much more of an impact to me.
Right.
Because before I was doing it to stay true to myself, stay true to my family, the people who I had, who had trusted in me. But now it was, no, there's a higher purpose for what I'm doing now. So I think it began to take on that additional aspect.
It added depth.
It did.
To your reasons to everything.
100%.
Yeah, that's so cool. So throughout this career, have there been specific experiences that taught you what success is, like you mentioned in college, that you learned really quick, that it's not the paycheck?
Yeah.
Was there an event or an experience that caused you to shift away from that?
I think it's when at the end of your workday, you can reflect on it and say, you know what, it was a hard day, but dang, I'm doing something I love to do. And I'm doing what I'm interested in, I'm passionate about, that brings me joy. I think that is my measure of success. Somebody might have a different measure for them, but for me, it's that I put in sort of an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. And then I can reflect back on that day and that week and that year and say, man, I'm actually contributing something to society. And I'm doing it again in alignment with my time and talents. I think that is a measure of success, such that if I were to take this time and talent that I have and maybe go do something completely different that has nothing to do with justice or public safety or service, I don't know that, regardless of how successful I am financially, I don't know that I will be internally as comfortable with my success.
Yeah. So do you think that message of like success via paycheck versus success via self-loyalty, is that the message that you would send to the current business students that are thinking?
I would love to send that, because I sat in that chair and I thought, man, if I can just make six figures, life is going to be amazing. I'll have freedom. I'll be able to do this. Now, mind you, that was, fast forward, now you're probably thinking seven figures with the cost of living. But for me, that was the gold standard. And it's just not that. It really isn't. And truthfully, and I share this with students, there's a very good book called The Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And what I like about it, one of the sort of the principles that I took from it, was that when you do set this financial barometer, as it calls it, this ceiling, you say, if I could only get here, you're going to get there. And so then what? So to not sort of burden yourself or limit yourself by having these artificial layers, and just hold true to what it is you want to do and what's going to make you happy as you do it. And if the money comes, that's a wonderful blessing. And if it doesn't, well, you're blessed that you're able to do that and that you're in alignment with the things that you're all about. Yeah.
And you mentioned in the book that you don't want to be limiting yourself by setting these arbitrary goals, but would you also say that you don't want to always be looking for greener pastures? You don't want to set too vast goals?
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yes. Yeah. That if you, maybe let's say today I was like, oh, I want to make $10 million a year. Well, okay. Now, if you're not going to obtain that, or if that's sort of pie in the sky, well, now your goal isn't being met. So you're having to wrestle with the fact that your goals aren't being met. And I think that's going to have an impact on you.
Yeah, so success and happiness are definitely connected in that way.
Yeah, I come back to, and we teach this in the strategic, or I should say in the strategy and economics class, that they do something called the competitive advantage pyramid, which you evaluate a company based on mission and values and principles as sort of a core base of the triangle. And then you, on the next phase, you look at your resources and the capabilities you have. And again, your God-given talents and gifts are in that phase, right? But you also have resources. The university is such an amazing resource for students and for adjuncts as well. But you also have resources of your network and resources of your family and your ward. Your resource is Heavenly Father. You can turn to Him and ask for advice and questions and counsel, and hopefully receive inspiration and direction. And then you also have capabilities, and we're getting capabilities as students as we go through the university. And as I actually am teaching, I gain capabilities. And then what we do with those resources and capabilities, married to, or I should say in alignment with, our values, principles, and mission. Those are our activities, and that is what you do, how you do for work, what you do outside of work, how you conduct yourself. And I think if you can do that, if you can assess your own competitive advantage pyramid and understand that it's like, I know what what my grounding is. I know what my base is, and I understand my resources and capabilities. And so there, I'm going to do these activities. If you know that, you've got success. You're going to have happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just always grounded in your founding principles.
And you align the other things. So if I want to do something as an activity at the apex of the pyramid, but I don't necessarily have a capability or I don't have a resource, you have the ability to go get those.
Yeah, build it, yeah.
Like here at the university or through your bishop asking for advice or questions. All that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have for today.
All right.
appreciate your insights into success. I always love to see the different perspectives because they're always different.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Well, bravo. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Measuring Success Right podcast. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss the next interview. The Measuring Success Right podcast is a production of the Marriott Student Review. This episode was produced by Stuart Bird, Allison Pope, Greta Ackerman, Ellie Lewis, and James Call.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the official views or opinions of Brigham Young University or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.